This comes to us from the Lunduke Journal. They have 93,000 subs. This has 1,400 likes and 2 dislikes. Wicho says Adobe is crooked as which I don't know anything about, which is why I really wanted to watch this because, yikes. Let's see what he has to say.
At the demand of Adobe, Google has removed a leaked video of Adobe's CEO making comments to his company from YouTube, thus abusing and severely misusing copyright law with the explicit purpose of censoring and silencing tech journalists.
Dude, I'm telling you, this stuff, this actually might be the case if this ever proceeds anywhere. But eventually, this is the kind of stuff that's going to knock the entire system down. Is this?
This is unacceptable. And
this is definitely something he could sue for. This is definitely something he could sue for. Whether he'd be victorious about it, I don't know. But
us downright wrong on so many levels. For those of you who've been following along, you know that back on April 21st, the Lunduke Journal released a video from inside of Adobe showing the Adobe CEO and the Adobe Chief People Officer, which is apparently a very real job, making comments.
Chief People Officer. If there's not a more DEI position out there, I don't know what is.
To the entire company about the removal of DEI-related hiring quotas within the company, saying, and this is an actual quote, we, meaning Adobe, have never hired based on quotas, but going forward, we will discontinue the practice. You can't.
Which, by the way, I heard that. I saw multiple people on X sharing that quote, and they're like, wait, if you're saying you never did it, why do you need to say you're not going to do it anymore? Those two things, that's oil and water. You can't say those two things because it implies that you're lying about one or the other.
You can't make up these sort of quotes. Well, apparently Adobe didn't like that because
by the way, another more proof of someone in a leadership position that is retarded, because you don't say that out loud and think it's normal. That you are living on a different planet if you think that that's logical.
Adobe head of social media then reached out to YouTube to demand that video be completely removed from YouTube. I'm just going to read this little email I received yesterday. Hi, the Lunduke Journal. Well, hi yourself, YouTube. We received a copyright removal request for your video. Based on applicable copyright law, we removed your video from YouTube. Video title, the leaked video, Adobe CEO and CPO announce ending DEI policies, and they give the link. The content used that was offending...
Content found, entire video.
The copyright policy was Adobe Confidential All Hands Meeting. The content was found in the entire video, and the removal request was officially issued by Adobe. This means that your video can no longer be viewed on YouTube. You have received a copyright strike.
A strike! A strike! By the way, when a removal request or a takedown request comes from a company, they have the option to check the box to not give a strike to the channel. Because it's like, oh yeah, that's something the channel, clearly it wasn't nefarious. They were just talking about something and this was out there. We just want it to be down because we don't want it out there. They have to go an extra step to get the copyright strike given on the channel, which is insane. That Adobe did that.
Now, here's the thing about all of that. This is nonsense. This is utter nonsense from a legal perspective. If this is an incredible misuse and complete abuse, and
this is, the more I'm hearing this, I'm like, this is actually like a legitimate case for a lawsuit here. This is crazy.
Misunderstanding of how copyright law and various relevant laws relating to journalism and fair use work within the United States. The mere fact that they actually went along with this and said that this video was removed for copyright violation.
Well, to be fair, YouTube goes along with any request because they don't want to get involved with it. So they give you the chance to push back, and then the company trying to, or whoever the party is trying to get it taken down, has the option to be like, okay, well, we don't want to proceed with this any further. We don't want legal issues. We don't want this, that. So we'll just drop it because this person sounds like they're going to fight back. We're good. So YouTube basically washes their hands of it and says, you guys figure it out. This strike came here. Do you want to address it and argue it and counter it? You can. Okay. And then it goes back to Adobe, and Adobe's like, yeah, no, but we said what we said. We're taking it down and we're giving them a strike. And if that's the case, then that gives Lunduke Journal the opportunity to be like, okay, now the next step in the process is to sue them. That's really, I mean, that's how crazy this is. Like it escalates like, hey, take it down. No, I don't want to. Well, you're going to have to. Okay, now I have to full on sue you to get it to go back up. Like that escalates very quickly from a, hey, yes, tug of war back and forth to suing. There's no gradual steps in between. I feel like that needs to be addressed.
Is absolutely absurd. And to make the point very clear about this, if this were a real way to get leaked videos taken off the line and no longer allowed to be used, then no leaked videos would ever be used by any news outlet in all of history.
Which, oh, by the way, I currently have a what do you call it on my account? Is it a copyright? It's a copyright strike, or I need to check. Hold on a second. On my streaming channel. Let me check. Hold on. Yes, I have an active copyright strike on my Smash JT live stream channel from Ubisoft for, guess what? A leaked video that I was reporting on. I believe Hypnotic also got a copyright strike from this on that channel. But copyright strikes are a little bit different than the other strikes. This strike expires. This one specifically expires in 41 days. So it's not like as serious as some other strikes can be on your channel. They have different kind of, as far as I understand, they have different kind of impacts. Copyright strikes are bad, but they're not like the worst thing you can get. But at the same time, Ubisoft had the opportunity to just take the video down, be like, we don't want that out there. They had to go the extra step to issue the strike to Hypnotic and myself, which is what it sounds like Adobe did to Lunduke.
Right? Because then it means that any leaked content that technically has some...
Which, oh, by the way, I didn't leak it. I was reporting on it. That was leaked from Insider Gaming. I was reporting on their report covering it because I cover news stories that are interesting to me. Why am I getting impacted by someone else leaking something that I don't even know is proprietary or not? It's like, I just report the news that gets leaked. What are we doing here? Do we need to like, oh, wait, you can't talk about anything until you've vetted everything? Man, I got to tell you, content would stop if that's what they want.
Semblance of copyrightable material within it, which is...
And why is it my fault when a studio leaks something out? That's not my fault. That's not my fault. And if they want to take it down, I respect that and I understand that. Take it down. You don't want it out there. Don't strike the channel. But
pretty much everything could never be used in news. Therefore, no news would have video clips or audio clips in it. This is insane. The Lunduke Journal's usage of this Adobe all hands meeting, which admittedly was confidential and leaked to the Lunduke Journal via an anonymous whistleblower, it is protected under multiple laws relating to the publishing of news and items of
yeah, that's the other thing. Who's to determine with a leaked video as a whistleblower, who's to determine it's okay to share it or not? The company that it leaked out of? If that's the case, there'd never be a whistleblower ever, because the company would just be like, no, we don't want that out there. So the whole situation is wild to me. Like there's no case by case basis. That's just, they give all the power to the corporations. It's crazy.
public interest. It is protected under multiple instances of fair use
Mhm.
and in multiple instances of copyright law specifically relate to this, as well as whistleblower protection laws, all of which say the Lunduke Journal gets to publish this. Adobe can't say nothing about it. I mean, they can say something about it. They can say how awful it is that the Lunduke Journal directly quoted their CEO, but they can't force anyone to take it down,
Right.
which means that YouTube, Google knowingly basically violated copyright law themselves, misused copyright law.
Well, yes, but YouTube's get out of jail free with this is, hey, we don't get involved. So we are just the middleman. You guys have to dispute with each other. We are just the platform that you put it on, and they have the right to take it down. We're not getting involved. If you'd like to have an issue with someone, you take it up with them, which it's not great, but the other alternative gives the responsibility to YouTube, which is also not great. So
In order to silence a working tech journalist, both Adobe and YouTube, Google, they have a mountain, an army
of
of
lawyers.
highly paid, highly trained legal experts
Mhm.
working at that company. Their legal staff is off the charts. Assuredly, they know enough about copyright law or various whistleblower protection laws or various laws
Again, all
and
these things I agree with. I think YouTube knows all about this stuff, but they've learned in the past the best legal route to go is to say, we're not getting involved. And if you want to sue Google over that, that's going to be a massive hurdle because Google could fall back on, okay, courts, now you want us to get involved. So you want us to be the arbiter of truth. Now we're going to be sued for being the arbiter of truth when people say that we're wrong about stuff and we're the ones deciding. So it becomes a who gets to decide what's allowed and what's not. And then YouTube would be able to get sued by the companies. Like Adobe would sue YouTube if they were like, no, it goes back up. Like that, it creates that. It's such a shit show. It's I am I am in awe that humanity has found a way to function with all the red tape on everything. I am in awe constantly. I am amazed that when I turn on my computer that the internet still works every day the way humans are with each other.
rulings relating to the publication of news in the public interest, protection of journalistic sources, etc., that they know I'm well within my rights to publish this law. There isn't a copyright violation here. They know that. Either they're really terrible at their jobs to an almost absurd degree, or they knowingly misused and abused copyright law in order to explicitly censor and silence a journalist.
Mhm.
That seems like the most likely thing to me. Yeah,
Mhm.
it just does. So I reached out to Adobe and Google and
Which,
you.
by the way, this goes to speak to why all these multi-billionaires want to own all the media outlets so that individual journalists out there or people reporting on the news do not have a voice and they can control any flow of information. It's very scary.
YouTube. And that includes the PR teams at all the companies, their social media teams, including the specific social media contact, the head of social media at Adobe that made this takedown request. The CEO of Adobe, I emailed him directly. Yes, I have his email address. I'm sure he got it. As well as multiple other contacts in the marketing departments and whatnot of both YouTube and Adobe. I wanted to give them a chance to clarify this. Surely this must be a mistake. This
Mm.
couldn't possibly be really their intention. Do they really want to Streisand effect this? I mean, because as of right now,
Good point. Like everyone's going to be talking about this. I saw this making the rounds on X a couple days ago. I was like, whoa, this is a big deal. This is a big deal. And it goes much bigger than just Adobe. Like, obviously, it centers on them, but this speaks to a much larger issue with YouTube in general.
has this been viewed by a ton of people? It's been viewed by what 16,500 people on X, and a whole lot of people on the audio podcast, probably another, I don't know, 50 to 100,000 on the audio podcast. But I mean, realistically, That's a drop in the bucket, right? That's a grain of sand on the beach compared to how many people might see this.
Mm-hmm.
Do they really want to forcibly censor and silence a tech journalist and risk this getting even more publicity and thus Streisand affecting this
Gotta be honest, that's part of the reason I wanted to cover this.
when the video is still available on
Oh,
Rumble?
I am subscribed to him, aren't I? Oh, damn. I follow him on X. I thought I was subscribed to him. I've watched a bunch of his videos before. I love this guy. He's great.
On Locals, on the podcast.
Maybe I got unsub from him because I feel like I was subbed. I'm very confused right now. It's weird.
On X, downloadable as an MP3. It's available a ton of different places. Why would they do this to themselves? So I emailed them and I asked them a couple of simple questions. And I'm paraphrasing myself here. But one of those questions was simply, are they sure they wanted to do this? Like, is this a mistake? I told them I'd give them a full 24-hour cycle. I will give you until Thursday at noon to rescind this copyright notice, to say, yeah, you know what, you can have
They're
that.
not gonna. They think you're a pissant nobody. They don't give a shit until one of us pissant nobodies actually stands up to a massive corporation and beats them. They're going to continue putting their thumb down. And even when someone does stand up and win, they're not gonna change. They're not gonna change. They're just gonna be more sneaky about it.
And if they did that, well, then my reporting on this would be very different. They have not responded. I also asked them if why on earth would they object to the unedited words of their CEO?
Right.
These are the unedited words of their CEO spoken to the entirety of.
Well, I can say that their response to that would be, we don't want any internal meetings being exposed to the public. It's just a company policy. I think that's what they'd say to that.
The Adobe employee base. Every employee at Adobe got to see this. Why was Adobe terrified, clearly, of people outside the company knowing?
Because the CEO looked like a complete dickwad idiot. That's why. They're not going to say that to you, but they know that.
What the CEO is saying inside the company. Now, these weren't leaked product announcements. These weren't industry secrets. It was simply the Adobe CEO saying, we're not going to discriminate against people in our hiring and firing anymore. That's it. Why would that be a problem? Now, it's worth asking that question, and it's worth continuing to ask that question. So if you want to watch the leaked video of the Adobe CEO and the chief people officer announcing their end of their DEI policies, which include statements like, we have a duty to operate within the bounds of the law, and my favorite, I'm going to repeat this one because it's so good, we have never hired based on quotas, but going forward, we will discontinue the practice.
Every time I hear that, I still just roll my eyes. I'm like, people.
It's just so good. As well as you can find some statements that have been made by employees within Adobe who are really, really ticked off about the dropping of DEI policies. The Lunduke Journal has been covering all of that.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. This is not so different than the game industry, guys. When you hire a bunch of weird Smurf colored hair, nose ring wearing weirdos, they're going to push back when they know the gig is up, and they're going to cry and fall back on what worked for them to get into the position in the first place, because it's all they know. It's all they know. They're not qualified, and they know that. And they know when they get knocked out, they're going to have nowhere to go because their experience is useless if they suck.
This, and it continues to remain available everywhere except for YouTube. So Locals, Rumble, X, Facebook, believe it or not.
Isn't that interesting, by the way? I was thinking about this earlier with the whole Kneegate situation going on with me and the Alana Pierce video. How nothing seems to have an issue on Rumble. Why does Rumble not have legal issues? Like, what? You can basically put whatever you want on Rumble as far as fair use is concerned, and there's never any issues with it. It's very strange. Why Why is that?
Patreon, the MP4 downloads, the podcast RSS feed, iTunes, Substack, and Spotify. You can get them, all of them, audio and video versions across all those platforms. So go to lunduke.com, choose one, and you can watch and you can share it wherever you like.
Sergeant Sapien says Rumble is not popular enough for them to worry. Exactly. Which I think that actually should be the biggest concern for everyone when they tell me, oh, just go to Rumble. Just go to Rumble. Grow your audience on Rumble. Imagine if Rumble blew up. Imagine if YouTube fell apart and Rumble became the next big thing. I know it's not going to happen, but imagine if it did. Then you'd fall into the same problem you have on YouTube over at Rumble, where everyone will be attacking Rumble to knock them down. So it's just, it follows back to the follow the dollar. It's always about the money, and people want into that pot of money wherever it is. But anyways, I'll leave this one here. This goes on for a little bit longer. I will link it in the description, or in the chat if you want to watch the rest of it. But the basic gist of it is Adobe is being super sus, and is anyone really that surprised?